tell you, it's pretty much, it's a big undertaking to describe what it's like to be a police officer, and then to come here and describe what it is like as a whole entire community. So I kicked around some different speeches and what I was going to say. I had some things written down, but then what I actually came up with is something that I needed to talk about that just couldn't be written down. It had to be said from a heartfelt message. You know, on a personal event that just took place, I had an individual come to our house. We were doing some excavating on our property, and he was the owner of an excavation company. And we were talking, and while we were talking, he noticed behind me the police car parked in my driveway. He saw the back of the canine car, and he said, "Are you a police officer?" And I said, "Absolutely, I am." And he said, "Well, thank you for your service." I said, "Well, I really appreciate that." You know, and he shook my hand, and he goes, "I don't know how you guys do it." And he goes, I really appreciate your service." I said, "Thank you." And it was kind of that awkward moment where we shook hands. It was a good, solid handshake. And then I let go of the pressure, and he just grabbed my hand a little bit tighter, and he said, "I honestly don't know how you do it." He goes, "I couldn't do the job that you do." And I really didn't think about anything at the time. I just said, "Well, thank you very much. You know, it's something what we're born and bred to do." He goes, "There's really not a second thought that goes into it because it's our job, you know." So it made me think, why would he say something like that? Now, I statistically work midnight shifts, so on nights when there's a lot, it's really quiet. I get a lot of 8 hours of riding around in the car by myself just thinking. Sometimes I speak out loud, and it's kind of nice because the dog always agrees with me, you know. So I'm thinking to myself, why would he say something like that? Because it's absolutely one of the greatest privileges to be a police officer anywhere, not only in the state of Pennsylvania, but also in the whole entire country. And so what brings us to that point, you know? And the only thing that I can think of is that it's a calling. It's a calling from God. Not everybody can do this job. And if you think about it, I just looked up the stats. As of 2024, there was 3,400,000, or what is it? Almost 350 million people in the United States of America. 1.2 of that are police officers. So if you do the math, that's 1 in every 267 people are police officers. That's almost like winning the lottery. You were chosen. You were chosen by God to lead that way, to do God's will. You know, I was a police academy instructor at the Westmoreland County Community College, and we would go around the room and we would ask everybody, you know, why do you want to be a police officer? And of course, the common saying was, I want to help people. We all want to help people, you know. But whenever we went around the room, nobody ever said, well, hey, you know, I got lost on my way to science class and I ended up here and I figured I'd just hang out to see what it's all about. No one ever said that. So we're all there for a reason, and it's a calling from God. And ultimately, it's not an easy job. There's a lot of sacrifices that are made in this line of work. You know, we have sacrifices that are made to our own well-being. We witness a lot of catastrophic events. There's sacrifices, and I'm sure my wife, Kristen, can attest to this. There's sacrifices made to our family. And I can tell you, any spouse, it's a law enforcement spouse, there is a special place for them. There's a set of wings and a halo waiting for them because it takes a special person to be married to a police officer. It's the sacrifices that are made with our families. We miss a lot of events with our family. We miss the first steps, the first words of our children. And sometimes, unfortunately, we make the ultimate sacrifice. And that ultimate sacrifice is to lay down our life for the communities that we serve, you know. And none of us think twice about that. We get up every day, we put our pants on one leg at a time, and none of us really think twice that we're putting a ballistic vest on, we have a gun on our hip, and we're going to work. We're going to work to do God's will. We're going to work to protect our community. And if that sacrifice comes, we will make that sacrifice for the betterment of everybody. You know, it's like, to loosely quote John 15:13, he said, there is no greater love for a man that is willing to lay down his life for his friends. And I can take that a step further and say, for our community, for the people that we serve. We will continue to move forward and make those sacrifices as the warrior for our community, as the guardian for our community, as the protector for our community, and the role models within our community. We are the police, and that's what we do best. And that's the reason why we want to do this. We're doing something better. It's greater than just ourselves. So with that being said, I wanted to add one more thing. On our uniforms in the city of Jeanette, has anybody ever looked at the American flag? You look at a picture of the American flag and the stars are to the left and the stripes go to the right. On our uniforms, our flag is in reverse. And if anybody knows what that means that the flag is forging forward. That means that we're running into battle. We are running to face evil. We are running to do what is right. That's why that flag is in reverse, because we're forging forward, never looking back, and we're actually taking on the memory of our fallen comrades, our fallen police officers we will never forget, and we're still doing their will in God's work on earth. So for me, that is what being a police officer is all about. And I can't think of any better career that I have chosen in 18 years than to be a police officer serving our communities. So with that being said, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Everybody be careful while you're riding your bikes. And thank you to the McIntyre family once again.